Hi everyone, you're welcome back to this final tutorial on how to make hip and butt padding. Hip and butt padding. Guys, if you haven't watched the first tutorial, please go ahead and watch. This is the final part, and which is the part 2. You can see how the shape is given. I'm not the owner of this, so I put it on my client dress, and she's here with us in our page. Please, if you are interested, just keep watching. My client, I'm sorry. I'm sorry for putting on your dress. So this is how you're going to arrange it, and this is where we stop. So I just finished cutting it, and that is where we stop at the part 1. I am going to start by trimming the side parts. I am going to trim it down a little. So now this particular place, this center place I'm trimming now, it's optional. You don't need to trim this center place, this slanty straight place. You don't need to trim it. I am trimming it for my own hip padding to look natural. Okay, if you want your butt to come out so big, don't trim this straight part, just trim the other side part. Okay, both for the front and also for the back of hip padding. Don't trim the center. How will I explain it? Don't trim that straight slanty part, not the curvy area. Trim the curvy area down. The purpose of trimming this the curvy part is for the hip padding to relax very well on the butt. Okay, but you don't need to trim the center part. That center part is the place you are going to be joining. Okay, I am going to still show you the place I'm talking about. It's just optional. You don't need to trim that straight slanty part. I will still show you the particular place I'm talking about if you want your hip pad to come out so big, but I want mine to be moderate and natural. So I'll continue to trim it like this. I'm just trimming down the foam. It's very important for you to trim down the foam. Okay, I'll continue to trim it. You see this part I'm trimming right now. You can go ahead and trim this curvy area, but that straight part, don't trim it if you want your own butt to come out so big. But if you want your own to look natural like my own, you can go ahead and do so. But remember that I told you should not trim that side part. So this is how I'm going to arrange it, and you can see that I am done trimming it down. So this is how it's going to be looking. Now next is to cover it up. I use my pepper stay to cut this out. I use the pattern paper, placing it to cut out some pepper stay. I'll be ironing the pepper stay on top of the foam for me to use it and cover the foam. Okay, I'll just place it, and please remember to label your up and also your down. If you did not label, guys, you are going to get confused in this tutorial. You are going to get confused to know which one is the front, or sorry, the up and also the down part, or the center area. Make sure to label. And if you watch, you can see that I also label on that my pepper stay. I labeled the up and also marked the down part for me not to get confused. It's very important. Make sure to label. Okay, so you can see that I am now arranging all these things, placing the pepper stay where it's supposed to be. After that, I'm going to go ahead and iron it down. I'll take it to my ironing table and iron it down. Now I am done ironing it down. As you can see how beautiful it's looking. So you can use your lining to cover this up. You can cut out a lining and cover it up. I choose using my pepper stay to cover this up, and you can see the up and also the down part. Okay, so now the next thing I'm going to do is to run a stitch on each of them. I'll be running two stitch or 3 stitch on each and every one of them. I'll just run a stitch. I'll take it to my sewing machine and run a stitch two or 3 times on each and every one of them. And now you can see that I'm running the stitch. So I ended up running 2 times on every foam. 2 times I run a stitch 2 times on every foam. You can see it here. You can see what I'm doing. So if you haven't watched the first part of this video, please go ahead and watch the tutorial for you not to be confused. Okay, it's very very simple and easy to understand. So these small small foams you are seeing is the front part. The bigger one is the back pattern. Now I am done running the stitch, and I'm going to go ahead and trim out some excess of the paper stay I use. You can see the way I am trimming it after running a stitch on top of the foam, but not, don't go inside. While you are running the stitch, don't go inside too much. Okay, you can see the way my own is looking, and I'm just trimming out the excess fabric from the paper stay. Like I said before, you can use your lining to cover this. So this is how it's looking, so beautiful. I have my front here, and I also have the back padding here. Now this is how you are going to arrange it for the joining. You bring one of the back pattern and one of the front, knowing the up and also the down part. So the front is going to be facing like this, facing the back pattern like this. So you see this place I mark this arrow, you can see the way I indicate this arrow. That center place will be the place I told us earlier that you should not trim down. Okay, so the way I just indicate this arrow is going to be the way I am going to stitch it. This side facing this side and this side facing this side. You bring the small one up, put it on top of the big one. I'll still show us how to do that. Okay, but just know that this is how you are going to arrange it before taking it to your sewing machine. Now you bring this big one here and place it on top of the small one and stitch with 1/2 inch. Then this little one, which is the front, you place it on top of the big one and run your stitch with 1/2 inch. Okay, so that is the particular place I told us not to trim down. I'm going to take it to my sewing machine now and stitch with 1/2 inch and come back and show us what it looks like. You can see that the padding bolt just came out so beautiful. Had it been that I did not trim down that center area, it's going to push up a little bit. Okay, but I do not want that, and my client doesn't want it to be so big. And this is how the inside is going to be looking. Now the next step is to attach it on the lining. I am going to be explaining 2 ways that you are going to attach this. So first step is to join your lining and your material separate. As we can see here, I joined my lining separate. Okay, I just joined my lining and my material separate. The lining is separate and the fabric is separate. Let me turn it, you can see. So I just joined the back and the front lining together using 1/2 inch. To do this, I'm going to remove one part to show us what I just did there. I shaped it with just 1/2 inch. Now I am going to go ahead and open this seam allowance. Remember, I have not shaped my waist and my hip. I just joined the lining separate and also the fabric separate. I shape it using 1/2 inch. Okay, you can see that I am touching the same allowance that I have there. I am going to go ahead, measure down 1.5 inches from the waist area. But before doing that, I'm going to open the same allowance. Make sure to iron it on your ironing table. Iron it flat for the same allowance to relax. I have not ironed this part. I just want to show us the next step to follow, which is the number 1 step. I am going to measure down from the waist, mark 1.5 inches there. I have already joined my skate part. with seam or half an inch seam allowance. Now remember, this smaller part is going to face the front area of the lining, while this bigger side is going to be facing the back pattern of the lining. I am going to open that seam allowance, making sure that it laid flat. I will bring that opening side, placing my foam, the center place that I just joined, I'll place it on top of that opening seam allowance and pin it down beneath the 1.5 inch. Beneath the 1.5 inch. Remember, I came down with 1.5 inch. I am going to pin down the place I joined with the foam and also the place I joined with the same allowance. I'm going to pin it down. After pinning it down, I am going to run a stitch on that center, on that part of the foam, on top of that foam. Okay, I will run a stitch on the center of that foam, the place I joined with half an inch. On top of this foam, I'm going to run a stitch on top of it, and also run a stitch round the foam. While running your stitch on this lining, please make sure that your lining does not rumpled. Okay, if you're stitching it, make sure that it's not rumpled. Be careful while sewing it. So I'm going to stitch on this center place I just touched. Now there is something I want us to know. Know that if we are shaping right now, we are going to shape inside the zipper allowance area. And while you are drafting your hip and butt padding at the back, remember we came in with 1 inch. Please come in with half an inch, because at this particular place you see me measure right now, I have my zipper allowance and also extra 2 inches there. So if you came in with 1 inch, you're going to have extra 2 inches there. But if you come in with half an inch, you're going to have just 1 inch, so that for your allowance not to be too much, come in with half an inch. Okay, now I am done stitching on the center and also at the round the foam. You can see the stitching mark. So next step is how to shape it. I'm going to bring in my lace fabric. I have already joined it separately, the way I joined my lining separately. So this is my lace fabric. I'm going to place it on top of this my lining, and making sure that the center of the lining I join with the center of the fabric, of the lace fabric I join at the center with half an inch, they are equal, they rhyme. Make sure that the stitching line that you join align, like this place now. Make sure that it's aligned with the lining. Pin it up and shape your waist measurement. The shaping right now is going to go into the zipper allowance. Okay, shape your waist area, coming to your hip measurements. You are not going to measure your normal hip measurements. If you measure your normal hip measurement, add the extra foam intake, that is it. If your hip is 39, add your foam intake. Like my own is 39 plus 2 inches for this padding is going to be 41. So your hip measurement is going to be just 41. So you just shape it from the waist to the hip down to the skate length. Okay, this is the first option. If this particular step is going to be hard for you, just shape your gown. After shaping your gown, attach your foam padding with your needle and thread on the hip area, coming down with 1.5 inches from the waist. Just attach it with your needle and thread after shaping your gown or your skate. If this particular option, this one I'm using right now, is going to be stressful for you, but right now I'm going to shape it and turn it up. If you're making use of a lining, just shape it into your zipper allowance area and turn it up. So after doing this, I'm going to take it to my sewing machine and shape it and turn it up, and this will be the final teaching of this hip and butt padding. Okay, I'm going to show us what it looks like. So this is how it looks like, and you can see that the butt is button, looking so beautiful. Thank you for watching, guys. Thank you for watching. If you have any question, drop it on the comment section. See you on the next tutorial. Bye for now.